Hey everybody, Rich here at Leaving MAGA at leavingmaga.org. As always, want to thank you for watching and supporting all of our conversations that we have with our leaders who also left MAGA. We got a brand new testimonial video for you today. We are joined by Miss Addy Lugers in the state of Hawaii. Addy, welcome. It's good to see you.
Hi, it's good to see you.
So let's get right into this here, because I already know what most of our viewers are going to say when they meet you, and they're going to say, wow, she is so young. So tell us about how you were really MAGA before you could even vote and what that was like.
I grew up in a very far-right conservative household, and I was homeschooled, and my dad worked from home. So everyone was just all together all the time in my house, which was fine. I loved my family. Like, my mom was very caring. My dad was an alcoholic until I was about 13 or 14. And one of the only things we were allowed to watch on TV, like, we had some cartoons and things we could watch, but the predominant thing that we watched was Fox News. That, I feel like, is what set me up to have kind of more of an extremist viewpoint on politics, because of I was only getting my information from one source. And then growing up homeschooled, my dad really monitored what I did on the computer. And so I really wasn't able to fact check too well. I didn't really know what fact checking was. The narrative was always like, oh, you can trust the news. Like, that's what they're for. I slowly just fell down this rabbit hole of getting more and more extreme and justifying it by well, this is how my parents raised me, or this is what it says in the Bible, or this is what my friends believed. And it became very closed-minded very quickly. I became really politically active when I was 16. I didn't have the availability of resources or the availability of the adults in my life to guide me through politics. It wasn't something we talked about and discussed, okay, you saw this, now let's talk about it. It was just on a constant loop of, this is the news and this is what's going on in the world, and we didn't talk about it. So it was a very echo chamber. We're gonna leave it the way that it is. We're not gonna critically think through what's going on.
Do you feel like all of those facts made you a little more susceptible to MAGA? I feel like that part of your upbringing made you somewhat ready-made for the MAGA movement.
Living in an echo chamber, being a child, not having access to resources, having undiagnosed mental illnesses, it was just kind of a perfect storm that set me up to just fall right into it. Especially in certain religious backgrounds, also you become very dedicated to the church leader, and you're learned to respect the church leader and listen to what they say, and it kind of became a parallel of the Bible and church, and then MAGA and Trump.
What was it, if you take yourself back when you first started to become enamored with MAGA and with Turning Point, do you remember what kind of feelings did you have about it? Did they provide you with a feeling of community? Because I say all the time that I feel like MAGA, and what the right wing does very well, is it creates community.
Yeah, so I think part of it was because I had very limited friends and I found community online. I felt like I was a part of something bigger. I've always ever since I was little, I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to be a part of something bigger than me. Yeah.
And so for you, when was the first time that you voted? Take us through what that was like for you.
I voted for the first time in November of 2020. So it was Trump versus Biden. And well, we all know how it went. We were all there. And it just, the night before Election Day, I'm going to see if I can pull up this picture for you. I'm wearing a Make America Great Again sweatshirt. And then I put a bunch of Trump emoji stickers all over it. And it says like 4 more years, vote, Team Trump. There's one of Trump riding like a missile that says America on it. And I posted that on my social media the night before the election. And that's what I show my friends when I'm like, I used to be MAGA. They're like, no, you weren't. It was my first election. I had turned 18 not even 6 months prior. And I was just like, this is it. This is like what being an American's all about. I get to exercise my right to vote.
I can tell, even the way you're describing it now, how exciting it was for you to vote for the first time. And did you have feelings at the time of I need to vote to save America and save democracy? Take us through what the mindset was like about being just so excited for casting his vote for Trump and MAGA.
When it comes to like the MAGA concept of like, I'm voting to save democracy, I'm voting to save America, I think part of that was there in the sense of like, I was wanting to participate in the democracy of voting. I think at the time I was very like, well, I had lived through Trump's first presidency. I was a teenager. I was still in high school. And I remember sitting with my friend. I was like, the day after the election, the weekend after the election, I'm not sure, in 2016. And I told my friend that was with me, I was like, this is going to change my life. Like, having Trump as the president is going to change all of our lives. And she was like, you're being dramatic. I was like, no, I'm not. But I do think that it kind of was like a vote for the greater good, in my opinion. Like, because all the things that he promised and said he was going to run on, like lowering prices and putting money back in families' pockets. And like, I grew up in like a middle class family. My dad had his own business. So the recession hit in 2008. It hit us pretty hard. But it was just like everything that he ran on, I was just like in awe of. I was like, these are all amazing things. Like, why wouldn't we want to secure American borders and lower the price of gas and eggs? And like, it just seemed like perfect in my head almost. It was like, this is going to be like the presidency that changes America. I wasn't wrong.
Just what kind of change it ushered in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was the same, it was similar for me. I wanted a disruptor.
Yeah.
Someone to disrupt the status quo. And we got a disruptor. Just unfortunately, it's a disruption that is anathema and antithetical to our democracy and our democratic lowercase d institutions.
Mm-hmm.
But you were not able to vote, but yet you were so excited. And I relate so much to that, how enthralling MAGA was for me and how exciting it was. And it was new and it was novel and it was a community. And then finally you had a chance to exercise that vote in 20, and it was, all of the embodiment of that excitement. You finally could take action on it.
Yeah, exactly. And I was excited. And it was like this, like voting is a part of the great like American setup. Like that was our thing. We get to vote. We put the people in power that the people want in power. And like it was also fascinating and so cool to me. Like I was so politically active online. I was saying a lot of nonsense, but I was proud of my nonsense.
Well, online is another community.
Yes, that's another thing growing up in like the tech era, is like you can spread information, misinformation, you can meet people, it's all so fast. Like,
Yeah,
if you don't check the misinformation, especially like now people will put warnings under posts if it's misinformation now, but even a couple years ago that wasn't really a thing.
Well, I say in a lot of my interviews, Addy, that we are in the United States of algorithms.
Yes.
And, and mis and disinformation, I think, has reached a level of a crisis proportion in the U.S. And for me, and I want to ask you about this because what led me on my own pathway of leaving MAGA was I started to diversify my news and information sources.
Mhm.
Did you happen to do that also? What was that like for you when you started to go through your own deconstruction, and what were some of the reasons that made you start that gave you pause in your support for MAGA?
Having access to the internet, it's at least now as an adult, I know that like if you choose to not be educated on what's going on right now, like that's a choice you're making. You can't avoid it unless it's intentional. Um, but I think back then, I think I had a handful of friends that would post stuff on like their Instagram story. And so like I'm posting stuff, they're posting stuff. I'm like reading what they're posting and I'm seeing like it's not quite lining up with what I've seen. And like I started to kind of fall into the like I realized that each news outlet is very different and that like whatever like political affiliation that news outlet has can really like affect the quality of news that you're getting. But I did start to diversify my media intake because that was the thing for me. I was like I was okay with not being right, I guess. I just wanted to be as informed as I could be.
But what were some of the reasons for you that eventually led you to stop and think about your support?
There were small things that I definitely had started to like kind of start questioning and catch up on, but it all came to a head when George Floyd was murdered and there was all the Black Lives Matter protests and I like spouting nonsense on the internet. And I was like, he wasn't murdered, he was a drug addict, like all the things that they were saying, like the police officer did what he had to do. Like if you don't want to die, then like basically it was like if you don't want to die, then do what the law says kind of thing, which like is really not cool now to like think that. And that was the one that my friends like started calling me out on. And they were like, you have this all wrong. Like you do not understand what's going on. You are being so loud with your political ideologies. Like you're shouting into the void and no one is going to answer you. Basically was what my friends were telling me. And I was like, you're wrong. Like I don't understand. Like all lives matter. Like Black Lives Matter is so exclusive. Like I think for me it was like I felt personally attacked by the Black Lives Matter movement because I'm a white woman. I was like, well, it does not make like, all lives matter. Why are you saying that just one matters? Like, what about me? And it's not about me. And that was where I finally started to cave when I realized, like, I had been an adult for like a year, like 18, 19 for a little while. And I just finally started to realize I was like, this isn't about me. Like, I'm a part of this and I'm a part of America and I'm a part of the concepts and hopes and dreams that Americans and American people have. But I am a page in this book. I am not the whole book. And that was what really started to shake my beliefs in MAGA was that it was very focused on like me, I. Like, what does that have to do with me? And why should I care if it doesn't affect me? Like, why should I care about immigrants? Why should I care about Black people? Why should I care about Hispanic people and people under the poverty line? And like, why should I care? Because I'm doing just fine. I'm a white woman that was born like basically with a spoon in my mouth of like my parents were middle to upper middle class and I had nothing to worry about. I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood. I was Christian. I was homeschooled. All my friends were white. I know at one point in time I even pulled the like, well, I have a Black friend, so I can't be racist. Okay. But I finally just, the big thing that made me leave was I realized that MAGA had killed my empathy for others.
Hmm.
And it was all just like, whatever the president wants, whatever the president, like, he's doing what's best for this country. He knows what's best. And I realized I just didn't care about my neighbors anymore. Like, it became just this grandized thing of, like, we have to protect America, and like illegal immigrants are sneaking drugs and children across the border. And it just, I realized that's not who I wanted to be. Like, I want to care more about my neighbor and helping the people in my community and doing, like, my religious deconstruction was something else, but I deconstructed religiously around the same time. And like, to truly live by like the teachings of Jesus is very like love your neighbor, welcome the immigrant type of thinking. And it's like my worldview shattered. I was like, this isn't who I want to be. And I realized, like, my friends have been telling me since the George Floyd thing into like 2021, when I finally realized, they were like, you have no empathy. You have no empathy. You have no compassion. You only care about you and why people like you. And I was like, that's not true. Like, I'm such an empathetic person. I'm so kind, blah, blah, blah. I was missing the point on pretty much everything. There's like a sticker out there. There's a post someone made, but it's like, more rights for others is not less rights for you. Like, it's not pie. And that was what really clicked in my head for me of like why I left. I was like, I am being hateful, and I'm pushing a political agenda that at the end of the day doesn't even care about me. But I realized that, like, I don't want to be that person that pushes my friends away. I don't want to be that person that pushes minorities and people who are struggling away. Like, now as an adult, like, I work in a mental health field, and I just want to be a safe space for other people. And I realized I couldn't do that and be MAGA at the same time. Like, I had to pick one.
I think it's remarkable that you went through all that at such a young age. And I say frequently that leaving MAGA was good for my soul, my psyche, and my mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And that when you leave MAGA, anyone who leaves reclaims their individuality, their agency, and their empathy.
Yes.
And I think that's the case with you. You know, you said how MAGA killed your empathy. And then when you are going through the process of leaving, where there is that cognitive dissonance between your sincerely held beliefs and what your own eyes are showing you,
Mm-hmm.
but you came to the point where you said that you couldn't support this anymore. So I think it's pretty remarkable that you did it at such a young age. And when the way you and I met is through Threads.
Yes.
And I know you're very active on Threads. So what I want to ask you in closing is, given all of your activity, why do you feel it's important to keep speaking out?
Things become less scary when we speak them into existence. It goes for mental health. It goes for traumas and struggles. When you speak it into existence, it has a name, and it's something you can face. So by talking about my experience with MAGA and my upbringing, not everyone's going to believe me. There are people out there that say, oh, you've always been a liberal, you look like a liberal, like, whatever it may be. It becomes a straw man argument, and they just attack what they want to attack without realizing that people can change. And for me, putting myself out on the internet is terribly, terribly, terribly scary. I do not like being on the internet. But
I can relate.
I feel like it's almost a responsibility that I carry now of like, I was loud and put all of this hatred out into the world. And now, like, I want to show the people, like, you can walk away from it. You don't have to, if it scares you, if you feel small if you start, even if you started out like, oh, this is a great idea, you very quickly realize like, crap, this isn't what it was marketed to be. Like, I don't want any part of this. What do I do? And that was my thing. Like, I went through my deconstruction and leaving MAGA by myself. So I was 19, not even 20, and I had to navigate what to do, how to do it, how to diversify my newsfeed, how to apologize, how to admit that I was wrong. And I did it alone. And I don't want anyone to feel like they have to do it alone, because we can find true community when we stand up for each other and when we hold a hand out and say, like, it's okay to be scared and I'm here with you and we're going to get through this together. I just don't want anyone to have to go through what I went through, even if like I wasn't in it for years and I wasn't like donating money to the movement, like whatever people want to say about their MAGA stories. Like, leaving MAGA it's valid, and the people that leave are valid. You're allowed to change your mind. It's normal to change your mind when you're presented with new information. And that's become such a crazy rhetoric in today's day and age of like, you can't change your mind. Like, once you've made your bed, you have to sleep in it. And like, that's not true. Like, everyone can change. Everyone has the capacity to change. It's just sometimes people need a little extra help to realize like, I can do this. It's like, even if I'm just one voice in the gigantic sea of internet, like, even if one person sees my account and sees what I say and say, if she can do it, I can do it. You can walk away from it. It'll be hard, and it'll challenge who you are, and it'll challenge your beliefs and your morals and your values. But after you get through it, you really can find a new sense of identity and a sense of belonging in like your local community and like smaller internet communities. And you can align yourself in ways that nourish your soul and align with who you are as a person.
I think your transformation was remarkable. And, you know, I want to express my gratitude to you for joining our community at Leaving MAGA. You know, your intrepidity and your bravery have not gone unnoticed, and I would like to welcome you to our community as a newer and valuable member. Tell us where people can find you on Threads, your username.
So on Threads and Instagram, my Threads is linked to my personal Instagram, so it's going to be under A Lugers, so ALEUGERS 02. That's my personal Instagram. And then I have a political Instagram and a political TikTok. They don't have anything up yet because I'm working on it, but that's under MAGA_survivor. And I'll be posting more there about my experiences, my deconstruction, challenging different political viewpoints, and just being a resource for other people in the community.
I want to thank you for being with me today. It was great to talk to you and to hear more of your story. We were with Addy Lugers from the great state of Hawaii. Addy, thank you for being here today.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey everybody, if you like this video, make sure you drop a comment, make sure you subscribe, and also be sure to visit us at leavingmaga.org. You can read more of our testimonials, you can contact us, you can subscribe to our newsletter, you can get information on our support groups that we hold every week for friends and relatives of those in MAGA, and you can get information on my memoir, One Betrayal Too Many, Why I Left MAGA. And any questions that you have, you can feel free to bring them to our weekly live stream, which is at Wednesday, 1 o'clock Eastern, across all of our socials. As always, we appreciate you watching. Thanks for your support.